A lot of this video will focus on how spell interactions work, for example, with the new upgrade from Divine Temples, the Twinstone, which gives you that spellchain copy and a 1+ Ember cost on the copy. It's also going to go over some timing interactions with Arcus Darkness Incarnate and his Looming Darkshard that increases spell cost on cards, and some cases of how setting the cost of a spell to 0 using gifts for a guard, Titan's Claw, or Split Anvil is different than cost reduction, and finally a couple of interesting interactions using Conduit Tethys as your champion. For this cost reduction interaction, what I have is I have a Frozen Lance. Typically, Frozen Lance costs 1 Ember. It has a Twinstone and a Valuestone that makes it cost -2. So what's going to happen is I'm going to be able to cast this Frozen Lance, and the spellchain copy, the Twinstone copy, is also going to cost 0. So the Valuestone applies -2, which technically makes the Frozen Lance a -1 Ember cost spell as far as the game's concerned, so the Twinstone copy still costs 0 instead of 1 Ember. For this interaction, I have a Return Soul, so that reduces the cost, plus a spell with the Twinstone. So what happens is when I cast this, bring it back, I'll make the initial card cost 0. However, since it's only -1, the copy from the spell chain still is going to have a cost of 1. So instead of having its normal cost of 2. For this cost reduction interaction, we have gifts for a guard, and in our spells we have something with spell chain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast my gifts for a guard. This makes my spell chain card cost 0. Now after I cast my spell chain, I get the copy that gets +1 in Ember cost. However, since the cost was set to 0 with my gifts for a guard, the price in Ember for this card stays as 0. In this interaction, we have a frozen spell with spellchain that's been reduced to 0 with Titan's Claw. So much like with Split Anvil, reducing costs to 0 is this weird interaction. So when I have a spellchain that costs 0 and I cast it from the Titan's Claw, the copy is also going to cost 0. In this interaction, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a card using Winged Steel while there's a Looming Darkshard out. Now what's going to happen is actually the trigger from this Darkshard is going to occur first, and then I'm going to draw a card, so let's just double checks. So in my deck I have 2 1 costs, 2 costs, and a 0 cost. When I draw that card, I drew this Frozen Lance, which was my 2 cost from the deck. It does not get the spell increase from the Looming Darkshard. In this interaction, what we're going to do is we're going to draw cards as part of a spell when there's a Looming Darkshard out. Now, if we look at my deck, everything currently costs its normal Ember amount, so we're going to play the Deep Offering. Now, if we look at all the spells, since this was part of a card's effect, they all got affected by the Looming Darkshard, so they all had their cost increased by 1. For this cost reduction interaction, I have a Frozen Lance, a 1 Ember spell with the spell chain and Valuestone on it, so it costs -2. So typically this would make the copy from spellchain cost 0. However, there's also a Looming Darkshard, so when I cast it, I get a copy, but since the copy has not existed when the Darkshard triggers, the copy still costs 0 Ember. For this cost reduction interaction, what we have is the artifact Split Anvil, and Conduit Tethys Titan's Bane. So all my damage spells cost 3 less at the moment. So if I scroll up, I have 3 cost and 1 cost spells. So what happens is if I cost a 3 cost spell with Tethys, this reduces all spells that cost cheaper. Now if I scroll up, even though I spent 0 to cast it, it's still considered a 3 cost spell. So Split Anvil made all these 1 cost spells I previously had be free instead. In this interaction, I have Conduit Tethys, so my damage spells cost reduced, with an old magic with multiple effects, one of them being damage. So as you can see, this currently marks the ember as 0. My current ember is 6. When I cast the spell, however, my ember still went down by 1. So even though my old magic was shown as discounted because it deals damage, it is currently considered to be bugged and still costing an ember. To continue on with this bug, once again, even now I have 0 ember. This says it costs 0, but when I try to play it for 0 ember, I get no valid target and I can't cast the spell. Thank you for watching. You are welcome to like and subscribe. I will hopefully try to get some more Monster Train videos up in the future, either more combo videos, daily challenges, or just interesting runs.